Black Adam is out in theaters right now, guys. Black Adam, and this is going to be a spoiler review, a spoiler discussion for Black Adam. And we'll start off today by talking about, well, just some of the highlights of my thoughts on Black Adam. Let's go over to the IMDb. 2 hours and 4 minutes was a bit long for a running time. We'll talk about that. It did have a little bit of pacing issues, but my initial reaction was good. It was a fun time at the theaters, guys. My initial reaction is up on the channel right now as a non-spoiler version of this review. But Dwayne Johnson, guys, that's why we're watching it, right? And he nailed it. He blew it out of the park as far as I'm concerned. It was fantastic. Aldis Hodge as Hawkman was all the times that they're fighting. Terrific casting for Hawkman. And Pierce Brosnan is Dr. Fate. I felt like Dr. Fate there, what they did with him was really effective. Because we're talking spoilers now, guys, his sacrifice. Because he plays like the older hero there. And I felt like it was cool. And it was cool that it was coming from Pierce Brosnan too. I liked how he kind of like didn't really coerce Black Adam, but he kind of compelled and wanted to appeal to his better side of his moral compass, right? Yeah, so that's what I liked about Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. And as I said, Hawkman in this, guys, was awesome too. The interactions between him and Dr. Fate were cool, but it's really Aldis Hodge and him facing off against Black Adam because he's like the muscle that was really good. This is the mother character that unlocks the tomb in the beginning of the film to get the crown of Sabak. The crown of Sabak is this kind of it's supposed to be kind of like a thing that drives the movie, but it really turns out to not be really all that important because it gets destroyed at the end when he rips Sabak's head off, which is just kind of like, if somebody were to complain about Sabak being just kind of like shoehorned in this at the end, I would totally agree with them, but it'd take away from the film's overall enjoyment factor for me. Not really, but it was kind of like, oh, and now, oh yeah, we forgot about that Sabak guy. I think perhaps you could say wasted, but you're watching it because of Dwayne Johnson, right? And what he's doing. I felt like it was very well done. Yeah, and they got some throwbacks in there to like Man of Steel and stuff like that. But when he throws down here, when he starts to unleash his full powers and stuff like that, it was fantastic. Just great cinematography to watch. And when he starts killing a bunch of the normal military guys, it's cool. Wait a minute. Did that actually happen in the movie?
We'll start getting hurt.
Did that happen? No, I don't know if it did. He fights a bunch of the guys on the bikes. But I don't think I went to the camp.
He's been asleep
I
for
don't remember
5.
that part. But yeah, we'll go through some of these shots here. Aldis Hodge there is Hawkman. He recruits. He's the one that's pretty much having this plane and recruiting the JSA, the Justice Society of America. He calls everybody in with Amanda Waller there, and there's Noah Centineo. There's a Cyclone right there, and Dr. Fate. Really effective. Noah Centineo too. He had some laughs. This is a good theater experience. I think people are going to have a lot of fun at the theaters for this, and it's very X-Men-ish, like mansion where the ship comes out from underneath the ground, and it is what it is. Very Bruce Wayne-ish. I got no problem with that. Yeah, but when he first comes out here, he comes out of the mountain and starts attacking all these other people. And it's just, there's a lot of slow motion in that. Some people complain about that. I got no complaints about that. And this is when Cyclone is like throwing a whole bunch of these metal bars at him. That's cool. This is when he's throwing down with Hawkman. We've seen this this was in the trailers. Really cool fights, guys. And it's not, if you were complaining about the Superman Zod fight in Man of Steel being a little they look too rubbery, not in this. I think they fixed that, because I think a lot of the shots is actually them in harnesses being actually held up like this. So it looks good, like visual effects wise. Now some of the shots do look a little some like when it's just younger, like that young kid just standing behind some rubble. It did look a little bit like a CG background, like they were on the volume or something. But other than that, guys, you're watching it because you want to see him be this big bad guy. And Adam Smasher had some fun. He's kind of like the DC's Ant-Man, that he can grow big and stuff like that. And Noah Centineo did a good job in my books. He did a good job. But Dr. Fate there. Because okay, so you didn't know about all the powers of the Justice Society. They did a good job establishing what Cyclone is. Obviously, she controls the wind. Atom Smasher just grows big and stuff like that, the different sizes. And then Dr. Fate, they talked about the helmet and sort of how it's supposed to be like an alien entity or something like that. And he can do like cloning kind of things. He's very much like the Doctor Strange version almost, kind of like of the DCEU. Right? How he makes multiple copies of himself and fights. That's okay because it was Pierce Brosnan, guys, and it was cool to see. It was cool to see, and I like the design of the helmet. And his sacrifice there at the end. I know some people won't feel it, but I just felt like, yeah, it was well placed for that stuff. And I felt like that would have been like the logical conclusion, to have him sacrifice himself and then Black Adam reluctantly goes to sleep. And then this is when Sabek comes in here at the end. Because the pacing of it, when they do Sabek here. Oh, yeah, Hawkman. When they do Sabek here, it's kind of like they reach their conclusion with Black Adam and he decides that he's going to go to sleep in the Arctic and relinquish his powers. But then Sabek wakes up and somebody's got to come and help the GSA fight Sabek. And Dr. Fate wakes him up. It's kind of like, yeah, that's shoehorned in at the end, right? And you got a CG bad guy here that really, you don't know too much about what his ambitions are, because he's not that established at the beginning of the film. He's not really the bad guy, right? It really is Dwayne Johnson. He's really Black Adam. He's kind of the villain of it. He's the main focus. And I know people would want to have him like face off against a villain in a very traditional superhero kind of storytelling. But, yeah, Sabek, if people complain about him, I could totally understand why. But for me, I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know who he is. If he's a big bad guy that's supposed to have a bigger menace than that, it was cool that he got his horns ripped all in half and stuff like that. yeah, it was cool, man. I dug it at least. And then, of course, the ending scene where he's kind of like sitting on the throne, and they ask him, how does it feel? Does that feel right? And he's like, no, it doesn't. And he destroys the throne. Black Adam, good soundtrack too. Very good soundtrack. I like the theme for it too. His theme is really cool. Anything else that I can pull here? Black Adam, yeah. How he just goes through walls and stuff like that. This is in the when he wakes up and the kids like talking to him, and then Hawkman comes in. Really cool stuff. And yeah, I like the costuming too. Costume work in this was fantastic. Not only from Black Adam, but like Pierce Brosnan. I know that's probably just like a CG suit that he's got on, but that's fine. The Hawkman suit was really breathtaking. And yeah, Quintessa Swindell here as Cyclone. I want to see more work from her, and I want to see her show up in more stuff because that was cool. Noah Centineo, he is what he is, guys. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, Quintessa Swindell, I believe is her name. I think we took a look at that on the IMDb, right? Yeah, Swindell. But if people complain about that young kid and how he believes in Black Adam is supposed to be like the savior of their city, it was a bit much. And he's like following him around and stuff like that. It was a tad bit much, but overall, guys, Black Adam, I had a lot of fun with it at the theater. Yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section. If you're not joining us live, join me in the comment section, and I'll respond to all of your comments. Let's go through some of the story points here. Let's talk about the big spoiler here, guys. Is the Snyderverse officially being restored now? Because Superman does show up. Henry Cavill shows up in the mid-credits scene. Okay, yes, he does. 11 minutes and 14 seconds in, we're revealing. I should have started off with this because it'll get the most views. But my little shorts reaction should be able to get that. So Henry Cavill's back as Superman. And we heard that, we knew this because we're movie fans here on the channel, right? We talk about movie news. So we knew that there's going to be like a new 10-year plan for the DCEU, and Superman and Batman were supposed to be like the backbone of that, said the head honcho there, David Zaslav. And you heard reports that Cavill was in LA shooting some stuff in the Superman costume, but you also heard that Gal Gadot was shooting stuff too. So I don't know if they're going to show up. Well, he obviously shows up in Black Adam here, but I think he also is going to show up in Flash. I think they filmed some stuff for Flash that'll just point it in the new direction now. And now definitely, because it's kind of like Amanda Waller shows up at the end of Black Adam, and it's like in the mid-credit scene, and it's like, stay in this city, otherwise we're going to have to make sure that you get put down. And it's like, and Adam's just kind of like, nobody can keep me down or something like that. And then you hear the John Williams theme for Superman, and you see through the mist this floating figure come down. And I'm like, give it to me. And then it's actually him. It's actually Cavill that steps out, and it's the blue uniform, guys. It's the blue uniform. I've been saying this all week, guys. The Zack Snyder version of the Justice League movie is not canon. You have to go back to the theatrical version, which is going to ruffle some feathers, which is also why I think that it's not going to be called Man of Steel 2. It's just going to be called Superman. And they're going to use the John Williams theme, because if they used it in the Black Adam mid-credit scene, then they're going to bring him back for sure. And I'm so happy for Henry Cavill. Yes, I want to see a proper Superman movie, and I think we're going to get one Superman movie that'll establish him back as being the Boy Scout Superman. I think a lot of people want to see the Boy Scout Superman, right? They don't need to see that, should I or shouldn't I use my powers? We're past that. We're past that for Superman. I know people will be confused though. This will be confusing for people, and they'll say, well, is the Snyderverse officially being restored now? No, because I still think that the Flash movie is going to retcon a lot of the stuff. They'll be able to use like the different dimensions and universes to set it in a new direction. And Black Adam definitely seemed like Dwayne Johnson the other day said in a tweet that consider this like phase 1 of the new DC universe, Black Adam. Consider Black Adam as the new phase. And it definitely was that. I felt like that. And when he showed up, God, guys, I was just so exciting. We'll wait till I publish my short here in just a few moments, like in about half an hour or so. I'll post the short reaction to the mid credits. Now, it's not in the theaters because I don't want to get a copyright strike, but it'll be very strong in suggesting that you should stick around for it, because here in the spoiler discussion, guys, it was awesome. It was awesome. But you're going to get a lot of people mining this stuff now. Does Henry Cavill Superman return mean the Snyderverse is being restored? So there'll be a lot of speculation about that. A lot of people will be talking about that. Which version of Justice League is canon? Well, I just explained that to you guys. As of now, they still could change course, but yeah. What else needs to happen to have the Snyderverse reversed? No, because I think guys, let's just face it. Darkseid just looked like a cartoon, a CG cartoon. That doesn't look like a person, right? And he needed to be the Thanos of the DC universe, right? Model it after a real actor, and it just looked like a CG person, a CG creation. So I hope when they do redo Darkseid, because if remember the theatrical version just had Steppenwolf, when they redo our Dark Side, then hopefully they do it with a little bit better flair. But will they restore the DC universe eventually? No. No. I think it's going to be very clear with the Flash movie that they're looking backwards on that and moving forward because they don't want confusion. And that's why I think that they're not going to call it Man of Steel 2. They want to make sure that people will know that there'll be a distinction there for sure. The only other thing that came up was Black Adam's Rotten Tomatoes score. Guys, don't pay attention to this. 44% by the critics and 88% by the audience. So there you go, guys. This happens in movies. The audience is going to be a lot more pleased with this than the critics because they can look past some of the pacing issues or like the way that the story is told. Like there's not going to be the harsh analysis of story structure where I saw it. The casual fans aren't going to go, well, those flashbacks were just exposition for making up for a lack of setup, right? You're trying to pay off without any setup with those flashbacks. And it's like that's if you're looking for a harsh critical analysis, right? Most people aren't like that. So 88%. Yeah, I think I gave it a 7, but I could probably give it a 7.5 out of 10 for Black Adam, guys. It was a lot of fun. It truly was. I recommend that you go out and see it in the theaters. It's one of those ones where if I wasn't so behind in stuff, I would go out and see it again. And I haven't done that for a movie in a while. But I'm still behind. What else is opening up this weekend? George Clooney movie's coming out this weekend. I need to see that. I still haven't seen Barbarian. I need to see Barbarian. So there's a lot on the table for me. But guys, Black Adam, hit that thumbs up button if you like this stuff, guys, because it's got my approval. It's not gonna be in the top 5 movies of the year for me, but it's gonna be at least one of the most surprising movies of the year for me because looking at the early buzz for it wasn't that good. By the critics, they weren't liking it, but as I said, I don't care what the critics say out there. Trust your instincts on this one. I think you'll have a lot of fun with it, for sure. Our Glass Vikings says, let's take a look at some comments here. Our Glass Vikings in live chat says, so Black Adam was a potential R rating. Yes, it was. Apparently I'm just trying to think. I guess it must have been with blood, and maybe you did actually, because he throws people up in the air, right? And maybe you actually got to see somebody land down, and actually you do. One of the guys early in the film gets shot and falls off a cliff, and you do see him land down. He seemed to push the certification boundaries pretty close. So yeah, that would have been fun though. The throwdown between him and Hawkman when they're breaking through buildings and stuff. It felt very organic and felt really cool. Yeah. Arglass, so pleased the Superman theme from John Williams was retired. It's upbeat, iconic, and bravo. Yeah. No, it's not the full theme, but you'll know what I'm talking about when you hear it. You'll recognize it right away, for sure. And just to see them standing face to face, oh god, that's so cool. But I thought, okay, I want to ask you guys this if you're watching this afterwards. I always thought you would see, because Jaimin Hansu of Shazam, you know how Jaimin Hansu in Shazam gives Shazam his powers. Jaimin Hansu comes in on this, and he's another cameo that was surprising to see because he is there in the flashbacks about when they were giving the powers, right? And Jaimin Hansu, when he gave the powers to Shazam, and he's the one also responsible for giving it to Black Adam, right? The council there, he's got like a council of people. So he shows up in this, and it's very logical. And in fact, the word that Black Adam uses to get into his costume is Shazam. So when that all went down, I was like, cool. And it was cool to see Jaimin Hansu because he's a good actor. I always thought that they would have a Shazam Black Adam face off first, but I'm thinking that's probably because of the post-credit scene. It's going to be Superman, unless you remember how in Avengers you saw Thanos just kind of turn and wink, maybe, and then he shows up like 2 Avengers movies later. But there's like a bunch of other movies that happen in between. Maybe that's what they're going to build out to. But they'll have to establish Black Adam a little bit more as a bad guy too first along the way. So I'm waiting for it. And maybe he'll show up. I'm hoping that Black Adam will show up in a post-credit scene in Shazam: Fury of the Gods. That's what I would like to see. But I know that eventually he'll fight Shazam for sure, I think. He'll fight Superman for sure. Hopefully the Justice League. That would be cool. If he fights the Justice League, an updated version of the Justice League, I'll be on board for that. Because there were the posters in the kid's bedroom, and he had like toys and stuff like that and stuff. And hopefully Ben Affleck comes back. Hopefully we get more Batfleck, because we needed more of that. Not that I didn't hate the Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson Batman. I did, but I like the grittiness of the Ben Affleck Batman, which is, it's kind of opened the door for all that stuff to happen now. So Black Adam did it, guys. Dwayne Johnson, he did it. He delivered. I think he delivered. Black Adam, what are your guys' thoughts? Let me know in the comments below, and we will talk about it. Okay, guys, what else can you find on this channel? We do full live watch-alongs for things like House of the Dragon on Mondays. The season finales next week. We'll watch that. On Wednesdays, we do Andor, 1:30 p.m. We do that. And you guys will find something cool here on the channel that you like. If you want to see like the non-spoiler version, or you know what, guys, just subscribe to the channel. That's there it is, right there. Subscribe and watch something that YouTube is recommending for you right there. All right, guys, see you next time on Mirror Domains.